Michele Rodri, and I was born in Paris, France. I came from a family of very observant Jews. They were Orthodox Jewish people. They gave us, my brothers and I, very strong values about Judaism and anything else. The Nazis had something in mind to just demoralize you, take away your dignity. Life was not meaningful to them. And my brother Maurice perished in Auschwitz. He was in the subway, and the Germans came in, opened up the trains, and asked every man to drop their pants. And anyone who was circumcised was taken. When I was 7 years old, I was playing outside. In my house, I was playing hopscotch with 3 of my friends. Suddenly, a truck came in front of on the curb. 2 SS men came out. In a very violent manner, they approached us. They pushed us around, and they looked at our clothing, and my 3 friends didn't have any Jewish scarf because they were not Jewish. I was the only one who did. So they picked me up in a very brutal way and threw me in the truck. The truck drove to Drancy, and that truck were people who were elderly and young people, and children were crying. The odor was terrible. Drancy was a triage camp outside of Paris, a camp of selection. They selected the people who would run. The men were going on one side and the women on another side, and some children who were coughing or didn't look like they felt well were ordered to go outside, and a few minutes later I heard gunshots, and those children never came back. My oldest brothers went to the French underground, to the Maquis. Because my mom was from a part of Austria, my oldest brother spoke a fluent Hochdeutsch. Suddenly I see my brother walking in a German uniform. I just froze. I looked at him, I looked into his eyes, and I understood that I had to be still and not to say anything. My brother came towards me with the SS men and said in a very imperative way, "I want these 2 children," motioning to me, and the little girl that was standing right there. The officer said, when he took us out to the car, he saluted my brother and he said to him, "Thank you for coming." And we drove off. My brother didn't talk to me for a few kilometers. I think he was in shock himself that it went well. He turned around to me after a few kilometers and he said, "I'm going to take you to safety." He hugged me, and I felt really safe at this moment with him. He took us both to a convent. The Mother Superior was really caring, and she made sure that nobody else knew that I was Jewish. And she gave me a new name. And she used to call me Monique. This was the only way that I could be there. So I went to school. I couldn't make any friends because I was afraid to betray myself. So I stayed pretty much on my own. And I was the best in the class because I didn't do anything but just did homework and listened to the teachers. I stayed there in the convent for 13 months. They said their prayers in French, and I said mine in Hebrew under my breath. I had a nice voice, so I sang the Ave Maria in the church and everything. I loved it. The Germans were looking for Jewish children who were perhaps in hiding in the convent. Word came out to my oldest brother that it wasn't safe anymore for me to be there. So he found a family who took me in with my little friend for money, for a lot of money. My father made a mistake by meaning well if he would pay more, we would get better treatment, but it was the opposite, because that family was very anti-Semitic. And every time that they wanted me to do something and I didn't do it fast enough, I would be hit and I would be scolded in a way that was terrible. If the Germans would have come in and found a Jewish child in this home, the whole family would have been killed. But I don't think they were aware of that. They just did it for the money. But in retrospect, when I think about it, I think that if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be here. One day at lunchtime, the radio was on, and I heard that the Prime Minister of England, Winston Churchill, declared that the American troops were on the outskirts of Paris to liberate Paris. At that point, I realized that I'm going to be free myself. And a couple of days later, my parents came to pick me up with my two brothers. My youngest brother, unfortunately, was gone. And we went back to Paris. We went to the Champs-Élysées, the main avenue of Paris, and I saw the American troops. And they were so kind. They were throwing juicy fruit gum to the kids, and they were calling out, "Where are the Jewish children?" When I came back to my house, I was looking for my youngest brother, and I never knew what happened. He was the youngest of my brothers, and he was the closest in age with me. And I thought that he was playing hide and seek with me, but I don't know how I found out that he never came back. My religion helped me. I prayed a lot. I prayed without, going through the normal Hebrew things. That I just prayed to God, like I talked to God like he was my friend or my father or my mother, A good person to me is help those who need help and not be judgmental about other people. I believe that there is just a higher authority that can judge us. People should not judge each other, except for good things.